It's already, Live Nation. I think it was Live Nation or Ticketmaster saying, gotta get your vaccine status on your ticket. You want to go to the event? Organizer's going to say they want the vaccine symbol on your ticket. Private corporations like Walmart. Here's my prediction. Walmart's going to say, they're already saying it now, you have to wear a mask if you want to come in. You have to wear a mask. You can't come in. You don't wear a mask. The videos are popping up where people are screaming at other people who are not wearing masks. Eventually, when the vaccine comes out, they're going to be like, you got to have your vaccine app. You can't come in without your vaccine app. You put it on your phone, you get your QR code. If you don't have it, you can't come in, whatever. Just go get it. It's free. It's free. The government says they're going to give it to you for free. Just get it. I think vaccines are fantastic. I think they're wonderful technology. But I have concerns about this culturally mandated medication of people.
For sure. Dude, I just saw a commercial about Roundup. That was Monsanto's flagship herbicide.
Oh, and it was like, if you use Roundup, call Johnson Law.
16 years later, they're finding out that it's causing all this cancer in people. Now there's class action. So a rushed vaccine, 10 years. What about in 12 years? How are we going to see some sort of repercussions? I'm not,
An experimental rushed vaccine that big pharma companies are exempt from any liability from. So I'm sorry, but if you're putting your full faith into that's going to be mandated for individuals. It's going to be mandated by the corporations. Like we saw the CEO of Qantas recently propose, if you want to fly, you're going to have the vaccine stamp. Again, there's a new study that came out that showed that 40% of health professionals in the United States, according to the CDC, are skeptical of this and plan not to take the vaccine.
To be reasonable, when I traveled to Venezuela, you have to have a vaccine card because there's like yellow fever and typhoid and stuff. So you gotta go to the doctor. They give you a card. They approve it. You get your vaccinations. I'm down. I think vaccinations are amazing. We wiped out so many diseases. The issue I have is that if within our own country you can't go to the store unless you have to have some kind of medication. That's crazy. We're not talking about airborne Ebola. We're talking about 99.97% survival rate. People under 70 are mostly fine. And they want me to go get, medication.
Well, politicians are saying you need this. We're going to have the vaccine and everything's going to go back to normal. That's not how it's going to work. This is, again, experimental, rushed. There's two major pharma giants fighting for this. And if they get first to the market, they're going to get record amounts of profits. You think Big Pharma has a good record? Look what they did with the opioid epidemic.
Remember Bayer?
Look at medical doctors telling you that cigarettes are good for you. Medical doctors telling you about DDT.
Look at Dr. Fauci talking about schools. Look at Donald Trump saying early on, the science is on our side. The schools should be open. And now Fauci's saying, oh, actually, they were right the whole time.
Fauci telling you, don't wear the masks. The masks, don't worry. You're going to get more sick if you wear the masks. Now they're telling you need to wear them. It's absolutely insane.
Remember when Bayer gave everybody AIDS?
Yes. People forget about that.
Bayer owns Monsanto, by the way. What was that story?
Well, they bought Monsanto, and now they're a new kind of company that's getting sued to oblivion because they're finding out that Roundup, was linked to cancer. And now there's major record settlements of individuals getting millions of dollars, and there's thousands of them coming forward with these recorded cancer cases showing how Bayer lied and tried to cover up the fact that they knew this was happening, and when they knew this was happening, they continued it. And this is the same company that had medicine that had AIDS in it that they knowingly knew, and they still continued to sell because they saw the profits from it as less of a liability than actually stopping of sending this medicine. There's an insane clip of this happening, and now you want to trust Big Pharma when they have no liability with this vaccine. And another thing to really consider here is
check it out from CBS. Bayer admits it paid millions in HIV infection cases. Just not in English. This is from 2011.
Whoa.
To read the English-speaking media, you'd never know that Bayer just paid tens of millions of dollars to end a 3-decade-long scandal in which the company sold HIV-contaminated blood products to hemophiliacs, thousands of whom later died of AIDS. I am not saying the vaccine is going to do anything like this. I am not saying the vaccine is bad. I'm saying, in fact, vaccines are awesome.
There was a
very, very awesome.
There was a conspiracy.
But hold on. It's mandated medication I don't like.
Yeah, you don't even have to, make that argument. Look at how the government failed at sending everyone $1,200. Look at how the government fails at the post office, the DMV. Look how the government fails at basic human functions. Look how they can't even, set up a lockdown that they can't follow themselves. You trust these individuals for your complicated medical process that's a first ever in its kind.
Luke. I think you guys are over just too much on this one. I defer. No. Stop.
I'm not even saying it's bad.
No, stop. Yeah. I defer to Cuomo, to Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden.
The experts.
I don't trust Donald Trump. I don't trust Donald Trump to approve this.
Dude,
okay?
DDT is
That's
another
what they said.
one. You brought up DDT a little bit ago. Can you explain?
Well, before I do that, I just want to make the point. The government can't even figure out how to send you a check. They can't even figure out how to test people.
They were sending checks to foreign citizens in other countries? That's amazing.
They can't get that right.
Yeah,
they figured out this complicated 4-layer schedule that people still didn't get. I know individuals that still didn't get the checks. And now you trust these individuals to do a complicated medical procedure that they're going to have to do multiple times?
Yeah, listen. The likelihood, in my opinion, that this vaccine comes out and then we see it's either a conspiracy or it causes widespread problems. I really don't think that's the case. I think the vaccine's going to come out. Everyone's going to be fine.
Why do you think that?
How crazy would it be that they roll this vaccine and then everyone turns into a zombie or something? It's just not going to happen. People are going to be fine. It's a vaccine.
We don't know the long-term effects. There was never a vaccine like this ever in medical history. So this is a first of its kind new type of vaccine that, again, we don't know 10 years, 20 years.
RNA vaccine.
Listen. It's really simple as this. If you trust your doctor knows best for you. Me personally, I'm going to chill for a little bit, just like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Cuomo said. It was Cuomo who came out and said it. And I said, that's actually a really good idea. He said, I'm going to wait a little bit. And I was like, I trust Cuomo on this one.
No. My plan is, I think when the vaccine comes out, the first people that need to get it, absolutely, this is a win-win case, is the politicians. Give it to all the politicians. Now, if they become sick and something bad happens to them, they won't be politicians, and and then everything good. If they're fine, we'll know that everything will be okay.
They're not going to get sick. It's not going to happen. They're going to give it to older people first.
They're going to give it to the people that took the trials first, the double-blind trials, and then they're going to give it to medical professionals next.
Right.
That was what I've heard.
Then they were saying it's going. Then once the essential workers, it goes to the most vulnerable. I think it's going to be fine. I think we're talking about COVID, which has a survival rate of 99.9%. It's 97.5 for people above 70. I think what people need to understand too about the rapidness of this vaccine trial, it's bipartisan. I don't think there's look.
But there's a lot of malarkey involved with it as well. The placebo is not actually a salient placebo like it's supposed to be. It's not something that does. It's another vaccine that does have side effects. So again, I'm not. You might be right. You might be absolutely right.
It could be awesome, actually.
But I think it's best in this case to be skeptical.
I disagree. I think, partly disagree. Like I said, I'm going to chill and wait.
Yeah.
When I heard the Democrats come out and say this is rushed, I was like, you know what? If we don't have unified left and right in this country saying we reviewed this, there's actually Democrats providing the doubt, then I can be like, well, they're the ones who are supposed to be cheering for it. So I'll chill out. But here's what I'm saying. We've been developing vaccines for a long time. We've got the coronavirus is COVID is another in the long line of coronaviruses we've dealt with. I think here's what I think. I think it's gonna be fine. I think it's gonna help a lot of people.
Dude, it could be awesome. It's an RNA vaccine.
I just don't like the idea that they're saying it's a mandate. I don't like the idea that Ticketmaster said we're gonna put the symbol on your tickets.
Well, like
or that Qantas said you can't fly unless you have it.
Going to foreign countries and getting vaccinated.
If you don't want to get sick, you get vaccinated.
But
right?
You have to get vaccines to go to some countries.
For some countries, for some reasons, dude. I went to Venezuela and I got 5 or 6 shots.
I was there too.
I'm fine. I'm totally fine.
I didn't need to do the shots.
So it's
but I don't know. Maybe I went later after you. So you went.
I had to show him a card.
I did not.
I had a vaccination card.
I would have printed one out.
I went to the doctor and he was like, "We're gonna do. Here's how the yellow fever one that hurt."
Yeah,
it goes sideways into your skin very slowly because it has to go into your skin for it to work. And I'm like, it wasn't that bad.
Subcutaneous,
yeah, something like that. So, this was 8 years ago.
This new vaccine's kind of interesting because the regular vaccine works is they'll inject you with a little bit of the virus or whatever to get your body to produce an immune response.
That's what a vaccine is.
Well, these new ones don't. They don't actually inject the virus. They make your body think that it has the virus and then it has the response. So it might be way safer. another
There has never been a
revolution of
vaccine for coronavirus ever. SARS, MERS, whatever. There never was. So the fact that it's the first ever in its kind, I think skepticism is your best friend. I think taking care of yourself. I think a pragmatic.
Take it from Cuomo, bro. You wait. Listen. Cuomo said wait. And then once it goes through proper approval and you wait a little bit. Not only that.
I'm going to do a little bit more than waiting.
Hold on. You guys need to realize, too, you're not getting the vaccine. They're not going to give it to you. We are strapping young, virile men. They're not going to, well, young-ish. They're not going to give us the vaccine anyway. So what are you worried about?
Depends if we're in the Chinese-made FEMA camps. But do you know about the 1976 swine flu vaccine and that entire fiasco?
No.
Lydia, look it up.
The swine flu vaccine?
The swine flu 1976 vaccine fiasco that happened where the government
50
lied,
some odd years
ago. What was the situation?
Well, there was allegedly, I don't know the exact details of it, so I don't want to speak out of hand, but it was another situation where there was supposedly this deadly virus going around. The government forced this vaccine, which caused irreversible damage on a lot of individuals, and then they covered up and lied about what actually happened.
But do you really think, like, I don't.
Now, whether this is by accident or whether it's a conspiracy, we don't know. But I'm saying historically, when something is first of its kind, we don't know what we're getting into. I think it's best to.
You got nothing to worry about. You know why? You can be skeptical. That's fine. I'm totally fine with that. But the first, like you mentioned, it's going to go to the people who already got the trial, right?
Yeah.
Then it's going to go to medical professionals. Then it's going to go to the most vulnerable. So you got nothing to worry about. And the people who are most vulnerable got nothing to worry about either, because like a lot of these people are older already and they're like, I could die from COVID or get a vaccine, whatever, get the vaccine. And guess what? Then you'll know when the older people get the vaccine if something bad happens, because you're not going to get it for a long time. They were saying on the news that young people are like, they're not even on the list right now of priority. Like people who are under, I think 50, not even on a priority list at all.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we're not worried that the survival rate is 99.7 or whatever. Once we take care of the vulnerable, we're probably going to be fine. You're probably not going to need it.
You only need to vaccinate like 60% of the population to have herd immunity.
Well, I think it was 80. I think that was the exact term. But
I look, I'll tell you this. I don't trust big corporations who are driven just like by no bid contract.
They make profit and they can't get in trouble for it. What's that law that got passed that says the corporations can't be sued for vaccines?
Well, there's a specific order that right now vaccine companies, when they're making the coronavirus vaccine, there's no liability at all.
They could kill 100 million people and there's no liability.
Come on.
No,
and
literally,
there's already similar laws with other vaccines in the United States.
Listen,
because they wouldn't. The argument is they wouldn't produce it if there was too much risk.
I just maybe it's normalcy bias. It's not gonna.
Dude, I've heard this crazy conspiracy theory that HIV was introduced to the population through a botched MMR vaccine in the 80s. Have you guys heard that?
If we really wanted to deal with this thing, we would be talking about zinc, vitamin D, sleeping, eating a proper diet, exercising, but we're not hearing any of that.
I'll tell you. You want to know what I think?
Vitamin D.
You want to know
vitamin D is key.
I'll tell you what I think. You want to know what I think?
I do.
I think COVID has a 99.9% survival rate for most non-vulnerable people, most people under 70. I think they produced a vaccine that was, why was it mass produced? Because it was probably really easy. And I'll tell you what the real motive is. The vaccine is going to be fine. It's going to be safe. It's going to help the vulnerable. And these companies are going to make billions of dollars off of something that isn't as bad as they're making it out to be. When they were like, oh, COVID, it's going to be really bad. We had a bad COVID wave. It was really, really bad earlier this year. And then it seems like we kind of got over it for the most part. Things are getting bad now. But now we're getting these weird stories like where that woman got the left nostril negative and the right nostril positive.
Yeah.
Or Elon Musk.
Yeah, like negative, positive, negative. Oh. What's happening now is they're exploiting it. The vaccine's going to be fine because it's based on technology. They're probably already like, I know it's happening. It's what's really the big concern I have is guaranteed no bid contracts. I am not concerned about a vaccine. I'm going to chill out. I'm not going to even get it for a long time anyway because we're not allowed to get it. What I'm looking at is the largest transfer of wealth in the history of the planet. The vaccine is part of that. Guaranteed revenue from the government, that's our tax dollars, and printing money, devaluing our currency, being sent to big pharmaceutical companies, the shutting down of our small businesses and money going to big corporations. I think the arguments about vaccines and the fear over it is the wrong direction.
I think you're right about that.
No, I agree. The largest transfer of wealth that's happening right now is the big issue, is the big elephant in the room that people need to address.
And I'll tell you what the problem is when people, when even we talk about vaccines and we're like, oh, but these corporations, it's going to scare people into not getting the medication their doctor would recommend. No, we want them to do that. I think that's the wrong direction. I think the creepy thing is our government said, we will guarantee you $2 billion if you do this. And they're all just going like, hot dog, let's do it. Our money guaranteed to them. Well, people get the vaccine free of charge. Sure. What's happening is COVID is being used as an excuse right now by a lot of people to destroy the economy. And this is just one more aspect of what's destroying our economy.
You were saying something about Federal Reserve bailouts earlier. What was that?
Well, right now, when we're seeing huge hedge funds that are connected to Ben Bernanke, Timothy Geithner, and all these other top big bank officials, we're seeing a large swamp of money that's being sent directly to them for these larger kind of bailout packages that have been happening months ago, specifically during the summer, in order to make sure that the stock market keeps going. There's a huge amount of liquidity just being directly pumped into these large hedge funds, these large banks that, again, always have their losses socialized, their profits, they're privatized. And this is happening on an extreme level, record number of levels, especially right now in the United States, especially with the Federal Reserve, especially with Wall Street banks that are just literally at the teeth of the federal government right now, sucking off the wealth of the U.S. dollar.
So all the devaluation is kind of getting masked by the economy shut down. So people can't tell that there's mass inflation from all this money printing.
If you look at when you go to the grocery store, you see prices fluctuating. You see prices change, and they have been changing throughout the years. We haven't even noticed it. If you look at the cost of silver a couple decades ago, what it would buy you compared to what it buys you now, there's a huge disparity. There's a huge difference, and I think it's absolutely clear that what we're having as a financial economic system is this fairy tale world where there's a witch behind the screen, and it's literally imaginary make-believe land where we have banksters just pressing zero, giving it to themselves in this private quasi-system called the Federal Reserve, just rewarding themselves for absolutely no reason at all. A lot of these people who are getting money aren't doing anything. They're just siphoning around zeros in their computers, and that's supposedly something that we're supposed to pay for. That's something that they're getting profit off of. If you look at Wall Street, if you look at the larger financial game, it is rigged. It is rigged by the very powerful that are making money hand over fist. Meanwhile, everyone else is struggling to survive. And that Ponzi scheme, that game is unfolding, and it's playing out, and there's going to be some severe, real consequences, especially with these lockdowns, especially with these resets that are going to be astronomical. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, to extreme levels where our society is totally going to be flipped upside down, and it's going to be something that we have never seen before.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., so come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.